YouTubers, subscribers, and friends. Welcome to my channel. Look at this beautiful day today. It is 70 degrees at 8:30 in the morning. I woke up to 62 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning. Bringing Jerry to the zip line doggy park. Come on. Got a little buddy here. Come on. He's chasing me around. That's funny. Who is it, Jerry? I had to take him out of that dog park because they were running around like crazy. And now he's breathing all heavy. I've never seen him run like that before chasing another dog. Usually he goes to the dog park and he just looks at the dog, smells them, and then goes off and does his own thing. But something about that little poodle, Jerry. You had the hots for her or something. That's that crested saguaro right there. It is so windy out here right now, but it's beautiful blue skies. It is. It's a beautiful day. The weather's going up at 72 degrees right now. And I haven't been in this park in a while, so I figure I'll bring Jerry over here. He's breathing so hard from running with that dog. Look at all the flowers, Jerry! Look at them all, Jerry! Look at... Jerry, come and look. Look at these flowers, Jerry. Look at this. All different colors here. Look at these ones. Look at it. This is like a natural bouquet right here. Look at it. All these different colors.
It's so beautiful, Jerry. Just look how beautiful they are.
Look at everywhere you look here. There's so many flowers. Just forever, Jerry. The flowers go forever. Look at all these flowers. My wife's like, she's like, be careful with Jerry at that park because they were talking on the news that some guy got bit by a rattlesnake when he was at the dog park. I said, wow, look at that one. Oh, it's beautiful. So many of them here. Yep, it's getting warmer. There's that giant saguaro again. It's a beautiful park. But just like the title says, what I have learned about trying to buy land in Arizona. Let's talk about that for a little bit as I get distracted by these flowers here. Is it beautiful smelling, Jerry? Now, you guys have seen just very few, very little homes and land and condos that I have been looking at for, I would say, the last month and a half. I've probably gone and looked at about 150 different lands, homes, new homes, condos, lands with homes on them, lands with manufactured homes. I haven't showed everything that I've been looking at, but I have been looking at a lot for, I say probably a month and a half. Man, that wind is blowing, but it's not cold, it's nice. We were looking at this land not far from my house for was it $60,000 or $65,000? I don't remember exactly the price, how much it was. But I contacted the realtor and I told him I was interested in the land. And I asked him, does it have water, septic, and power? Because in the ad it says, you know, electric, water to the land. And I didn't understand what that was, so I asked him. And he said, yes, there's electric to the land, there's water on the land. Well, there's a meter on the edge of the land, and there's septic tank. Septic is on the land, but I walked the land, I couldn't find the septic anywhere. But what he told me is if you know the land, you could put a mobile home or RV, you could build a house, you know, you can do whatever you want on it, but in order to have power, to the land, you have to pay what they call a $5,000 impact fee. And I'm like, what? Impact fee? What is that about? Never heard of that. The only time I've heard of an impact fee is when I lived in Florida. State, and you try to register your car in the state of Florida, they charge you an impact fee, $100. So I said, okay, impact fee, fine. How much impact fee? He said $5,000 for the impact fee. I'm like, what is that for? Is that to hook up the electric to the land? And he's like, no, that's just to allow you to put electric on the land. And then you have to pay for the telephone pole, which is $800. And you have to dig the hole. The power company will not dig the hole to put the telephone pole in. You have to dig the hole. You have to pay for the telephone pole, which is $800. And then you have to hire the power company, whatever that is, I don't remember the price of that is, to hook the power to your telephone pole. And I said, that's the craziest thing I ever heard. I said, well, what about the water? He said, well, it costs $2,400 in the town that I live in, probably more in the city, he said. But out in the town that I live in, it costs $2,400 to put a water meter up to your land. Now, to run the plumbing or to attach your plumbing to the water meter, you have to hire a licensed plumber. You can't do it yourself, he said, unless you're licensed. And I was like, how much does that cost? He goes, I don't know. All plumbers charge different prices. And I was like, well, what else? And he's like, well, what do you plan on doing with the land? I said, well, I was thinking about putting an RV on the land. He's like, well, okay, so it's zoned for RVs, manufactured homes, mobile homes, or you can even build your own brick house if you want. But if you're going to have an RV, you have to pay for a permit, which is anywhere from $200 to $300. I said, permit for what? He's like, to have the RV on your land, or to have the manufactured home or mobile home on your land, you have to pay $200 to $300. He said, I'm not sure. I haven't bought one recently, but it's probably $200 to $300 at the most for the permit, and you can stick it on the window of your RV or your mobile home or whatever. Look at how the flowers look. Look at that trailer. That trail. So I asked him, does it have a septic system in it? He said, yeah, this property does have a septic system, but if you buy a piece of land and it doesn't, it costs you about $12,000 to put in a septic system. So I was like, all right, cool. This has a septic and this has water to the property, it has power to the property, but I'm going to have to pay a lot of money to have it attached to my property. He's like, yeah. So then I was like, all right, cool. All right, I didn't know all this information. I'm glad you're telling me because I didn't know. You know, and he's like, well, if you want, you put 20% down, the owner is willing to carry the note. You know, these squirrels right here. I'm like, what do you mean willing to carry the note? What does that mean? He's like, well, you finance through the owner. The owner will finance it. And I'm like, well, I'm not looking to finance. I want to pay cash for the property. And then that looks so beautiful right there, the flowers and the swirls. The land that we were interested in, I told the guy I didn't want to finance, I was going to pay cash. And he said, well, there might be a problem with the paperwork. I'm like, what do you mean there might be a problem with the paperwork? Because I told my wife, she loves that flat land it's in our town. It's by the dollar store. If you watch my videos, you've seen that video already. And he's like, well, I said, you don't have any paperwork on there? He goes, no, we have all the documents. It's 23 acres, but the owner has split up the 23 acres into different size acres, and the area that you're looking at is just a little bit over an acre. And he paid all the permits and the documentation. Everything is done legally, but the county hasn't sent him the deeds to the properties yet. I'm like, what are you talking about? How long does that take? He's like, I don't know how long it takes. We did that a year and a half ago. I said, what? You did that a year and a half ago, and you haven't gotten the paperwork or the deeds showing that it's all the properties have been splitting up to different acreages? He's like, no. I was like, well, that kind of sucks, right? And the guy's like, why? What? Are you in a rush to get the paperwork? I said, and I told him, I said, listen, when I buy something, I want proof that I own it. I don't want somebody's word. I'm not going to pay somebody $60,000 and then they'll tell me, well, when I get it, you'll get it. That doesn't work in my book. And he's like, I totally understand that, but that's why the owner would rather finance it, over a long period. That way, when he does finally get the paperwork, he can give it to you then. And I was like, yeah, no, I think I'm going to pass on this. And then I told my wife, and my wife's like, what? And I said, I told you, there's a reason why that land is still, nobody's bought it, because nobody wants to pay $60,000 for a IOU on a deed. It just doesn't work like that. Look at all these flowers. Man, it's a beautiful day. I'm in shorts, t-shirt. I packed up my sweatpants and my jeans. It's a beautiful walk today. So, that's what I learned about buying land. Even the one in town, that little small piece of property in town, if you watch my videos on a regular basis, if not, just go back and watch some of my older videos of me looking for property. I think it was called Looking for the Perfect Property. There's a small piece of land for, I thought it was $45,000. It's $49,000 because I called them up and Zillow is wrong. Zillow has it listed for $45,000. When I called the realtor on that, it's $49,000. And they told me there's power to the land. There's no septic on that land at all. It's city sewage. And that's that. So I was like, all right. So, and then she told me the same thing about there's an impact fee of $5,000 impact fee hooking power to your land. And I said, well, what happens if I don't want to hook power to my land and I just want to live off solar? And she's like, oh, well, then you don't have to pay the impact fee. But the minute you want to put electricity to your property, it's going to be a $5,000 impact fee because it's never had electricity. That's a one-time charge they charge you. And I was like, oh, all right. So, that's that. There's the zip line. Look at this. I'm glad I came up here today because this is beautiful. It's a beautiful warm day, beautiful scenery. He's finally listening. Anyways, so what I learned about buying property is if you're going to buy a piece of land in Arizona, whether it's in the city or in the country like where I live, is make sure that the land already has power on the land, already has a septic system on the land, or already connected to city sewage before you even purchase land. And definitely make sure that they have the deed already and not in the works, because that guy said he's been waiting a year and a half and the county still has not sent him any documentation proving that he has split up the land. And I don't care how honest somebody says they are. Oh, I'll get it to you when I get it. It just doesn't work in my book. So make sure you do your research, no matter if it's in Arizona or anywhere. Definitely do your research. And so my wife was like, well, why don't we just rent then? And I was like, what do you mean, why do you rent? I got 2 big dogs, I got this dog, and I got a cat. So I said, you know what, let me go check on the rent. To rent a 3-bedroom home, because you got to have a home, we can't have an apartment because apartments don't allow you to have big dogs. It's like 40 pounds or lighter. My dogs are way bigger than 40 pounds, and they definitely need a yard because they're so big. So the least I found on a 3-bedroom home is $1,500, and that's $1,500 security deposit. And another thing that I learned about when you're renting a home and you have pets it's a $300 non-refundable pet deposit per pet. So I got Jerry, Brownie, Josie, and a cat. So that's $300 each. That's $1,200 of money I'm never ever going to get back because it's non-refundable. Plus, $1,500 and then $1,500 security deposit to move in, and $50 credit application per person who's going to live in the house over 18 years old. And I told my wife all this, and she's like, "What? Why so much money?" I'm like, "Well, because it's a 3-bedroom house." And she's like, "Why don't we just rent a 2-bedroom house?" I'm like, "Well, I did. I knew you were going to say something like that." So I did research 2-bedrooms house, and the cheapest I found for renting a 2-bedroom house is $1,200 a month, and same thing, $300 non-refundable deposits on your pets. Man, there's so many flowers here today. So that's what I'm learning, and I've looked at houses, I've looked at condos, and the condos are cheap, but they're way on the east side of town. A place my wife really doesn't want to live. She wants to live in the central Tucson. She wants to live in town. She would like to buy that little piece of property in town, but even when you go to buy an RV, like I told her, let's buy an RV and put it on the land. Oh my God, we went to go look at new RVs. I didn't film it or anything like that. And just to find a regular, like 25-foot RV, man, new, they're $30,000. I didn't know that. I thought maybe $5,000-$10,000 the most for a new RV, like a small one. And don't even talk about fifth wheel. Fifth wheel, $60,000. Who's gonna pay freaking $30,000 or $60,000 for? You can buy a house. I paid $37,000 for the house I live in right now. That's with 1 acre of property. Yeah, I had to do a lot of repairs and fix it up and stuff like that. But that is crazy. I told my screw that. I'm not buying a brand new RV. We have to buy used. And then we went to go look in the used. Like, see that one right over there? $6,000 for something about that size. And then it's all beat up inside. And I'm like, what the heck are people thinking? On Craigslist, they're crazy. Look at it. He was sitting in the shade. He's already getting hot. I didn't tell you to run around and chase that poodle. So I told my wife, I don't know, maybe we have to think about this a little bit more. She's like, well, let's just rent. The kids will be out of school in 2 years. My daughter 1 year, my son 2 years. Let's just rent. She keeps saying, let's just rent, let's just rent. She told me the reason she wants to rent is because she doesn't want to be tied down to any land or anything like that. Her brother was in a coma for 3 weeks. He came out of the coma, which was good. Nothing really wrong with him after he came out of the coma, except that he's talking a little bit crazy. He's seeing angels in his room, standing in the corner. He's got his other brothers kind of freaked out because he's rambling and saying some really crazy things. And my wife is like, this is her older brother. She's the youngest of 3 boys. She has 3 older brothers, and she's the youngest girl, only girl. And yeah, we'll rest. And she's like, I don't want anything to tie me down in case I have to go back to Indonesia. And you know, I was like, what do you mean go back to Indonesia? I'm not ready. I don't want to go live in Indonesia again. I did that once for 3 years. I don't want to do it again. So that's where I'm at on that. That's why she wants to rent, in case we have to pack them and leave. So we asked the kids if they want to live in Indonesia. They said, no, I don't want to live in Indonesia, Mom. So that's where I'm at now. I told my wife, you know what, I'm done. I'm not looking anymore. I'm done. She's going to put our house for sale in April. It's not on the market yet, but she's going to put it up in April. And then we'll just see what happens from there. I don't know what we're going to do. You know, I thought we were going to live in this house for the rest of our lives. You know, that's why I'd done so much work on it, and that's why I told my wife, man, I built that tiny house. I thought for sure we weren't going anywhere. You know, I'd like to buy that small land in town and build a tiny house on that, but the problem is this, you know, I got a family and I got dogs. I have to have something to move into once I sell my house. And that's the only thing that's bothered me, and I told this to my wife, that's the only thing that's bothered me is I don't know where we're going to go once we sell the house, you know. So you have to be prepared. But those are the things that I learned about, you know, buying land in Arizona. But look at him. He wants to go run around with the poodle again. What is it, Jerry? He swore off from chasing her. Look at these flowers. So many beautiful flowers here, man. Spring is coming early. You gotta watch out for the snakes, Jerry. Look at you, already wore out. We'll go say goodbye to her before we go. That's an awesome looking swirl. Anyways, that's what I learned about buying land or homes or renting and stuff like that in Arizona. A lot of cheap homes and a lot of cheap land. It's just, you know, you have to do your research and learn everything about the land before you actually purchase it. But that's gonna be my video. I gotta go clean him up, give him some water, let him say goodbye to that poodle. If you like these kind of videos, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Don't cost you anything. It's free. And like always, thanks for taking the time to watch my videos. Remember, be kind to people. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And thanks for taking time to watch my videos. I'm going.